Alright, so we are out to do some diversions today.
Roger.
So we talked a little bit about diversions when we were talking with Mark during the prep for his flight test, but we're just going to go out today and kind of introduce the exercise. I know you've done a fair bit of navigation in your past. Diversions are not going to be your typical navigation.
Yeah.
There's no pre-planning that goes into a diversion. It really is something that you do kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Nice.
So something a change of plans, and so we want to follow a bit of a process to make sure that we're going to be able to get there, get back to a fuel source with enough fuel.
Yep.
Ultimately, that is our goal, and then secondary to that is obviously find the spot that we're actually going to.
Sure.
So we have a bit of a cheat sheet. It really doesn't matter how you do it at the end of the day, as long as you kind of sequentially and logically get to that conclusion. Finding the location and making sure we have enough fuel to get home again.
Yeah.
So to start with, on this first one, we'll do it together. So as you already mentioned, we got Hatzick Lake out in front of us here. You mentioned that's right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the diversion right at the north end of Hatzick Lake.
Yeah.
All right. And the first thing we're going to do, first item on our list, is our start time.
Start time, so we've got 03:59.
So we'll wait till we get to the north end of the lake here. Probably be at 4 o'clock.
I say 03:59, it's actually 15:59.
Depends how you want to look at it.
The water level of this lake go down? I'm noticing a lot of more sandbars in the Fraser River as well.
Yeah, it changes throughout the year, but it also does change somewhat based on the tides. Because the Fraser is tidal. This is like very level with the Fraser, so it is affected by the tides a little bit. Alright, so we're coming up on the north end of the lake here, and we have changed to 4 o'clock now, so that's pretty accurate. So I'll be your hands for today's flight.
Roger, thank you.
Make life a little bit easier as we talk and work through the exercise. So 4 o'clock, that's our time off. It's really important that we have an initial time off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't know what to base our distance on. All right, so we're leaving here, and our goal is to find Salisbury Lake right there.
Sure.
All right. So the next thing on our list is turn heading. So our overall heading up there is what?
Roughly north.
Roughly north. So we can
around to
turn to a roughly north heading, and that will pretty much simulate our line follows the road on the right-hand side of the valley, and that's this road that we see over here. So that's going to work out quite nicely. Our heading is going to work out nicely. All right, so our next thing is line. So we cheated and we drew the line ahead of time.
Yep.
But at this point now, we would figure out what's the most logical path to get there and draw a line to get there. We've already done that. So we'll check that off. Now, what's our distance? Have you played with your thumb to see what?
I've not, no. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
So your thumb, I would guess, is pretty similar to mine. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a 5-mile thumb. So
5.
using that.
Then, about 13 miles, I would say.
Yep. I would agree. It's about 12, 13 miles. It's about 2.5 thumbs. I'll go ahead and do 12 miles here for argument's sake. All right. Local radio call, so let's make a call to the local traffic here.
Yeah.
Miracle Valley traffic, this is Helicopter Golf Echo Tango India, currently 1 mile north of Hatzick Lake, heading north at 1,000 feet for Salisbury Lake.
Excellent. Radio call done. So estimated time en route, how long do you think it'll take to do 12 miles?
Ooh.
Roughly speaking.
Probably about 9 minutes, I would guess.
9, 10. Let's use 10.
Yeah.
It's easy numbers.
Yep.
And it's on the safe side. So what's that going to mean for an ETA? What time are we going to get there?
It should be about 4:10 based on start time.
Yep. 4:10. Excellent. Do you think based on that we have enough fuel to get there and return to base?
I'm going to say yes.
Yep. What can you use to determine how long we can fly right now with our fuel?
So we have this little readout which tells us fuel rate, or at least based on current fuel rate, how many hours we can fly, and it's say 1 hour 53 at the minute.
Perfect. So 10 minutes there, another 10 minutes back to north of Stave, or to north Hatsick, another 10 minutes back to Abbotsford. Half an hour,
yeah.
We definitely have enough fuel. Excellent. All right, now it says radio FSS. Why would it have radio FSS there? Do you remember?
So this would be if we had a flight plan organised, for example. We need to tell them that we are no longer conforming to that flight plan. We need to either arrange a new one or just cancel it altogether if we're within, I think it's 25 miles of home base.
Yeah, perfect. So we just need to let them know, because often the reason we use this is on let's say on a flight test, you're on a flight plan out to Kamloops or something, and we've changed that plan. Good. So we've let FSS know. What frequency would you get a hold of them on? Any ideas? Oh, that's a cheeky move.
I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure it says around Abbotsford somewhere, I seem to remember. Or at least there is an Abbotsford zone, is it? I don't know.
It's halfway on the other sheet, halfway on this side.
Bend my map. Already broken the other map. That's why I'm trying to open it. There we go. Ooh.
We're at the top of the box.
122.5.
That's right. That's who we would call them on in this local area. We'd let them know that we've changed our plans. We're going to Salisbury. We're going to go fishing there instead.
Nice.
All right, so our split line. Why don't you go ahead and split that line in half and tell me where that split is. So you can use your thumb and kind of, it's a thumb in a little bit.
I dare say it's bang on the power lines there.
I would dare to say you're correct. All right.
Which is coming up now.
So our split. So when we get to the power lines, I want you to give us our split time.
Roger.
Give me the time that we arrive at the power lines.
I'm going to cross these at 45 degrees. So what I'm going to do is turn towards the pylons to the right there.
I think it would make more sense to cross them 45 this way because we're already approaching them on an angle that way.
Roger, there we go.
We have a nice pylon right ahead of us there. Now, based on what you see topography-wise, which way are you going to suggest we fly?
So, I'm expecting, so loads of high ground on the right here, of course. I'm expecting potentially a bit of high ground there based on these contours. But that looks more significant than it is on these maps, to be fair. But I do know the area, so again, what I can do is, I know I'm crossing the power lines, follow this road up into the mountains, because that's a really nice line feature to get us to Davis Lake.
Yep.
And beyond, of course, from that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can, if I'm really lost, I can, I suppose, stay fairly low level and follow the road all the way up.
All right, so we've passed our split. So that was about 30 seconds ago. So when I looked down, it was at 4:05.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put 4:05 as our split time. So what does that mean from here on? What's our estimate time en route?
So it would be, again, about 10 minutes, like you mentioned.
About 5 minutes from here, right?
Oh, from this point, sorry.
Yeah.
5 minutes, yeah.
5 minutes, perfect. Which will give us a revised ETA of?
4:10.
4:10. Same as we expected.
Ah.
Nice when a plan comes together. And then one more time, we just want to confirm, based on that revised ETA, we obviously still have enough fuel because it hasn't changed. But if it had, let's say we got halfway and we realized it's going to take way longer because of a headwind or something, then we could revise that and decide, well, we're at the halfway point. We made it to halfway, so we can definitely make it back. Maybe we shouldn't try and go all the way there because our fuel reserves will be getting close. Excellent. Look at that mirror down there. Just a perfect glassy water. All right, so now you've completed the checklist. Your only thing left to do is to find the spot. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and help you out a little bit here. I'm going to tuck that underneath there.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, we can get rid of this altogether if we want.
So what I'm expecting to see is two distinctive mounds on the right-hand side of the track. We've got two here. There's a bit of a valley in the middle, so that lines up. Maybe some more raised ground here, but definitely some towards the coast there, so we definitely got one here. Two mounds here. I want it to fly between the two, and then it's roughly in the 1 o'clock now, just after that big mound there.
Yeah.
Let's see if that works out. Had a gentle climb going all this time as the terrain increases, so I'll get us to about 1600 and then
That's right.
go from there, I think.
Let's make one more call here north of Davis Lake.
Sure.
Dave Lake traffic, this is helicopter Golf Echo Tango India, currently 1 mile north of Davis Lake, heading north at 1,600 feet for Salisbury Lake.
All right, so we're coming up on this line here. Any idea what this line on the map would be?
So that's the edge of the training area. So we need to change frequencies once we get to there.
Okay.
Which,
and what are we changing to?
1267.
That is correct. Right.
We're about there now, actually. So I was coming in. 267. Oh, I'm changing over. We made a call.
Dave Lake traffic, this is helicopter Golf Echo Tango India, currently 2 miles north of Davis Lake, heading north at 1,600 feet for Salisbury Lake.
So there is a river which comes in. That follows a road, which we're currently overhead now. And then I'm expecting some raised terrain to the north, which I think is this stuff here.
Yep.
All this mountain range to the right there. And as that curves round, this big valley in the middle there, it sits just on the southern tip of the final bit of raised land. What I could do is follow the river, and then it should just be on our sort of 10 o'clock, I suppose.
Yep.
That's my plan.
Sounds pretty logical.
And let's see if that works. Because the road starts to go away from it basically, which is over here.
Yeah.
River's just paralleling now. See, that goes around there to the left. It would make sense if that leads to a lake. And what's this popping up here?
Yeah. Would you look at that? So, can you give me, you've already given me a lot of reasons, but can you give me 2 or 3 more reasons why this is the right spot?
So I'll be expecting a sort of an oval-shaped lake, orientated north to south.
Yep.
We're heading north-east at the minute, so it is going to be off at an angle, but there we go, roughly oval, north-south.
Yep.
It's got a couple of ridges to the west and a big one to the east, as mentioned. Otherwise, I suppose that's a few features there.
What about our time? How's that working out for us?
So we're at 4:10 now, but we're not quite at Salisbury Lake, so we might just be a little bit behind time.
I'd say we're at Salisbury Lake at 4:10, which is definitely estimated, right?
Yeah.
That works out good.
So we go.
Nice. All right, I'd like you to climb up and find this lake here.
Yeah. Looking on the map initially, roughly 350 from Salisbury Lake. So. Say that. Yeah, I've been here before, so I know what I'm looking for.
So remember, this is that's true north, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit less than that. It's minus 16 degrees here.
We'll go 340 or 330. Let's
Sure.
do that. See what happens. Less than a thumb. So let's call it 3 miles.
Yeah.
Doing 60 knots, so it should be about 3 minutes. Start time 0410. Once we got to Salisbury Lakes, I'm expecting around 0413 to arrive there.
Yep.
Got 1 hour 57 based on current fuel flow, which is should be plenty to get back to base. Probably about 30 minutes to get back to Abbotsford at this point.
All right.
Radio call, still 1267.
Dave Lake traffic, this is helicopter Golf Echo Tango India, currently half a mile north of Salisbury Lake, heading north at 2,400 feet.
So oftentimes when you're trying to find lakes and obstacles and stuff in the mountains, the best thing you can do is give a good climb going.
Yeah.
Way easier to see from above than high level. You can be right next to a lake and not know it's there. You are level with it.
So, flying between got lots of climbing ground. Got some on the right there, some on the left. There is a valley which comes around to the right, which I think is down here. And there is some raised ground just before it as well. It is in a bit of a bowl. I can see a lake in front of me. Again, oval, orientated north-south. We're heading just left of north, so that is pretty bang on to be fair.
Yeah.
So I reckon this is now a lake. Or frozen over.
All things indicate that you are correct. Awesome. Let's keep the climb going. Let's go to 86% power. Head up through this gap here. Let's climb at 60 knots, 86% power.
And through this gap in the 12 o'clock?
Yep. Alright, what are we at here? 5,300. Why don't we level out here?
Oh.
I'd like us to start slowing down. And I want to see if we can do an outer ground effect hover next to this peak right here, this little tiny peak. I want to get a sense of what our power situation is like right now. We just want to really slowly approach that hover. So loading the disc, leveling early so that we don't stop too quickly. Keep loading so we don't sink. And just keep moving slowly forward and a little bit closer to the peak there, just so we have good reference whether we're climbing or descending. You can see we're going up right now. Let's get that power down just a little bit. We'll just keep this forward motion a little bit more to the right. As we approach, slow it down the last little bit. And we'll have to do the final part of the loading here. Good, keep that right pedal in, excellent. So we're right at 100% now. Do you feel the droop? The RPM's trying to hold it there, but it can't quite hold it there. It's getting a little bit on the low side, but it's not actually going below the green. And the interesting thing about Cavalry blades, which is crazy, is they've designed them so that at lower RPM you actually get more lift.
Right.
To a point.
Yeah.
So down at the bottom end of the green, you actually get a little bit of extra lift to help prevent overpitching.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique. We're kind of dancing right at the edge of our power limit here. So we're actually holding the hover. What I want to do is gently lower the power, very, very gently so we don't overspeed, and start flying away. Start forward. Good, now we can go just below 90 as we speed up. Then I want to start a left-hand turn here.
It's very, very difficult to judge that reference score. And of course we're so high up that reference in the front is so far away you can't tell.
That's why it's super important to have a point of reference that you're judging next to. If you try and come into a hover out of ground effect just with no reference, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You'll start sinking without even knowing it. So I want you to fly with me here for a minute.
Yeah, following through.
All right. So judging on our ground speed, airspeed, it looks like we have a bit of a tailwind here.
Yep.
On the other direction, we actually had, it was the same speed, ground speed, airspeed. So overall, we have about 3 or 4 knots on our tail right now.
Yep.
If you take the average of the two of them.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is fly together. We've just done an approach to a spot just a little bit higher than where I'm hoping to go to.
Yep.
And we know that we have just enough power to hover there, out of ground effect.
Yep.
which tells us we will have enough power to hover in ground effect. Yeah. It won't be a huge margin, but it'll be enough. So what I want to do is I've scouted out a spot here. All right. So we're nicely loaded here now already. The spot I want to go into is this peak off our nose. Yep. Has good reference. We have good sunlight right now. There's some trees and stuff. There's a bit of a flat spot on the top that we can touch down on. Coming in, right now we're coming in perfectly level with the spot. So if you look at the terrain behind it, you see the mountain behind it? We want to try and keep that about the same all the way in. You see how the trees aren't really climbing or descending much? That tells us that we're coming in quite level. So now we're going to start slowing down. And as we go through 30 knots, right about now, we're going to start demanding some more power. We're going to start loading, 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 loading. Don't want to stop yet. We're just going to keep moving, loading, 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 loading. And now we're fully loaded. We're over our spot. Then we can sink her right in. We'll keep the nose down. That way we know our tail's nice and high. Add it all the way in here. Working it down. Center our cycling.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
This is why we fly helicopters.
Yeah.
Right here. Beautiful. All right, why don't you go ahead and shut down, and we'll jump out for a minute and play in the snow.
Jesus. Right, collective friction. Do you want to leave that on or off?
Friction on.
Yeah, on. Sound. There we go. Governor off. RPM to 430. Down to 400 first time, of course. There we go.
There we go.
Stop the siren.
So now if we had a mission where we had to get into here, and we did a power check, and we were like on the edge, but we were sinking a little bit, and we couldn't quite accomplish it, if we would have turned our carb heat off, we would gain about 4% more power by having the carb heat off. So we could have done that same approach with the carb heat off, fully loaded, and all the way in. Once we landed, we can go carb heat back on again, so it doesn't, as we lower the power, it doesn't build up any ice. But we can actually do a fully loaded approach like that with carb heat off and gain a little bit more power if we needed. In this case, we had enough. We came into the hover with 96%. So we still had a bit of reserve there.
It's amazing what you can do with such fine margins.
It is. It's amazing what, we're at basically 5,000 feet in the Cabri, and we're landing with two guys and 60 liters of fuel. It's pretty incredible.